Chapter 2. Where you travel when you sleep. Thoughts are things. There are senses of your body and other senses of your spirit. Your spirit is an organization distinct from the body. It has eyes and ears, touch, taste, and smell. Its eyes can see 10,000 times farther than the eye of the body. Its other senses are infinitely superior. You are now using a very inferior set of senses. The eye of your body, compared with the eye of your spirit, is a mere peephole. The senses of the body are relatively coarse as compared with those of the spirit. They are for use in a relatively coarser stratum of life. You are better off in a coal mine with a coarse miner's suit than with one of silk or velvet. Your body, with its coarser senses, is for use in this, the coarser level of life. Yet it may be for you a possibility to slip off this suit, the body, and go with your spirit, leaving for a time the coarse suit behind, to a higher and finer order of life. You have now a clairvoyant eye and a clairaudient ear. But these are not opened. The clairvoyant eye is closed, like those of some animals in very early infancy. In a few persons it is opened prematurely and in advance of the other spiritual senses. This is a premature ripening. The clairvoyant eye is the spiritual eye. It is an eye put out at the end of a thought. Send your thought to London, and if clairvoyant, you send that eye with it. A clairaudient ear is an ear sent with a thought. Clairvoyance and clairaudience are not special gifts for particular people. They belong to all and are in the germ in all. Your spiritual senses have been so crippled from birth through lack of exercise that they are not in working condition. When you leave your body at night, you are as a person in a dazed or bewildered state. You see without seeing. You hear without hearing. You are as one stunned by a sudden shock or blow. Then the physical eye may see, but it leaves no distinct memory of what it sees. You may in such state have a remembrance of a crowd of faces about you, but that is all. In a condition somewhat resembling this, does your spirit roam about on slipping away from its body. You are as an infant just let out of doors. You go where a vague whim or fancy carries you. You have left the physical senses of sight, hearing, and touch in the body. You have now only a set of totally uneducated senses to guide you. You have been taught all your life to deny the very existence of these senses. To teach a child unbelief, say, in its hearing or eyesight, from its earliest consciousness, will result in injury to its sight. The child educates itself gradually to use the senses of its body correctly. An infant has no idea of distance. It reaches out for things far from it, imagining they are near enough to be touched. It will walk off a precipice if left to itself. It learns by painful experience not to touch hot coals or hot iron. It requires years to educate it to a proper use of the physical senses. Your spirit has its own senses, which are not even recognized. They are left year after year without any exercise or training. You do not see in what you call dreams with the physical eye at all, or hear with the physical ear. You see with the spiritual eye, you hear with the spiritual ear. You are literally lost on going to sleep when you go into your spirit life. You then grope about like an infant with its untrained physical senses. What idea of the senses you do have, you estimate entirely by those of your body which you have left behind. You then carry your real selves about under the impression that you are still living in the mask you wear in the daytime, your body, and estimating and judging all you see or sense by a set of inferior senses, the physical, which you are not using at all. You are nightly, on passing out of the body, really in a spirit life, yet you are dead to this fact, because you are using the spiritual senses as you use the physical in the daytime. You are as one using a crutch when you have two sound legs which need only practice to make you a good walker. Many people who are completely severed from their bodies are in precisely the same condition. You may go mostly when away from the body among these people. You may be attracted to them because your spirit has in its uneducated state been so long in the habit of blindly groping among them. Your spirit has fallen into this habit just as it, when using the body, falls into ruts of habit, which are often extremely difficult to break off. You see men daily drifting about without aim or purpose, waiting, hoping for something to turn up to amuse them. A man without aim or purpose in life soon becomes inferior in intellect. Your spiritual self is in the same condition, from a similar cause. It is often surrounded by others out of the body without aim or purpose, and who know not what to do with themselves. Fiction has never devised the picture literally realized every night among you. These thousands on thousands of blind beings, freed temporarily from their bodies, are straying, wandering, groping everywhere, in your houses, your streets, your fields, some near, some far away. They are neither asleep nor awake. They wander as if in a dream, which is not a dream. Sometimes the spiritual eye opens and they see acquaintance or stranger, seen familiar or unfamiliar. But the recognition is not always a satisfactory one. You have been unconsciously taught not to believe in the reality of what you see in this state. Therefore, you do not accept it as a reality, and what the mind, in any condition, persistently refuses to accept as a reality, will not frame itself to be held by memory as one. It is a fact that some people on the death of the body still think they have their physical bodies. They may remain in this state for years. They go about, eat, sleep, and live in every way in that grade of existence which, though unseen by us, is all about us. Because everything we see, hear, touch, handle, smell, or taste has on its grade its correspondent or spiritual counterpart and can be used exactly as it is here. There are no sudden transitions of any sort in nature. People on passing from the physical body do not enter on any glorified condition of existence unless they in mind are living such existence on earth. They go where everything is in strict correspondence with their daily thought. Friends in the unseen world may, on their first arrival, receive them as guests in their houses. But they are only guests and cannot remain in those circles unless in spirit they belong to them. If their thought be lower, they must, after a time, return to the order or stratum of thought in which they lived on passing out of the body. They cannot commence building upward on that. You must build your mansion in the skies yourself. You can commence consciously building it here in the body to greater advantage than to commence after you lose your body. That you must build it yourself is the law of nature. It is not because any individuality, however wise and powerful in any of the advanced stages of existence, says you must. All of these, up to orders of mind, beyond our power to comprehend, have been, and are now, the builders of their temples themselves. What most they want of us is to build in like manner our own, and with the same blissful results. Because such building is simply the building of our own individual happiness into grander, broader, and ever-broadening proportions. Your first error on passing from the body in the state known as sleep lies in thinking that you are moving about your physical body. You must educate yourself out of that mistake. You must fix it in your mind before going to sleep that if you wake up in what you call a dream, you are not then using your physical body. You will fix in your mind before going to sleep, so far as you can, your conception of yourself as a spirit, or rather, as the unseen organization which during the day uses your body. The last thought before going to sleep is the one most likely to remain with you on leaving the body. If persisted in, you will find it mingling itself with what you call your dreams. That is, it will be the first clue towards the recognition of your real self when you are away from your body. Keep this fact then, this recognition of yourself as a spirit, in your mind, and it will be a great help to your unseen friends in the other life to get near you and waken you to the knowledge of your real self. The wiser and more powerful order of spirits who may be able to give you much of their thought in the daytime or while you are using the body may not be able to give you so much of it during your escape from the body, owing to the condition above spoken of. Instead, therefore, of going into a higher region of thought at night, you descend through blindness and mere force of habit into a lower one. You may be, while using the body, educated up to and enter into their higher realm of thought by day. Yet at night, being so educated in part in the school of physical sense, you cannot carry that education with you. You walk with the spiritual eye and ear, thinking these the physical eye and ear. All this results in a confusion which no language can fully express, because no similar condition in this life can be clearly realized or illustrated. You want to give your powerful unseen friends a clue by which, on passing from the body, they can come nearer to you and help you to wake up find your real self, and go where you belong. The thought of yourself as a spirit, as a being distinct and apart from your body, will serve as this clue. A thought is as real a thing as a telegraph wire. It will be the telegraph wire twixt you and them, because they will not stay permanently with you in your gropings on the cruder stratum of life. They could if they wished, but they want to draw you up to their abodes, their country, their realm, where all is more beautiful and fairy-like than ever pen or picture realized here, where in part, at least, you may now belong. To bring back of this, the remembrance to the daytime, while your spirit uses the body, would be to bring the celestial life to earth. It would be as a temptation in the right direction to leave off the coarser pleasures for the sake of realizing and living in the higher. Because all self-denial has really but this one purpose, that of cutting loose from fleeting pleasure that leaves a lasting pain, to obtain a far greater pleasure that leaves no pain at all. As persistently you fix on going to sleep this idea in your mind, that you are no longer using the body's senses, you will after a time, in what you have called the dream, find yourself recalling this fact. You will find yourself saying, "This is as real as my body or day life. I am only in a different state of existence." Your present life of the spirit, away from the body at night, is very often one that exhausts more than it refreshes. Unconsciously, you may drift toward persons and scenes repulsive to you. You are carried to them by lower currents of thought. You drift into these tides as an ignorant child wades into the stream and is carried beyond its depth and off its foothold by an outer and stronger current, knowing nothing of the fact that thought does move in currents, and that the lower one of inferior or evil thought is most powerful near the earth. Nothing of your powers and senses as a spirit, you are as helpless as a babe nightly on passing from your body. Could you get a start in the right direction toward the upper and superior regions of thought? Could you ascend through the current of dark and crude thought, which everywhere surrounds you? You would find yourself in a land of beauty, sunshine, and flowers, of grand scenery and fairy landscape. You would associate there with the people you most wish to see and to whom you in spirit belong. You would repose in a luxurious languor, yet still be able to note scenes of indescribable charm by the eye. You would be conscious of life and still be at rest. You would drink in life with every breath. You would return with this life to your body in the morning. Your night of bliss would be both as a rest in thought and a healthy stimulation to your life in the body. Your spiritual senses would open in this elevated thought atmosphere. You would be freed from what is now a nightly slavery. Your connection with the higher regions of thought would become permanent, and you could attain the power of returning to them at any time to refresh yourself when overcome by the cruder thought which now surrounds you. Every low place of resort, every saloon filled with hangers-on, more or less under the influence of stimulant, every and any place, no matter what its conventional character, if it be a place of deceit, of trickery and trade, is an actual spring of low thought. This thought flows from it, as real, though unseen, as water from a spring. In any great city, all these are, as so many thousands, of springs of filthy thought element near together. It is not a live, rapid current. It is more like a slowly moving bed of filthy ooze in which you are mired and slowly borne along. Every tattling, gossiping, scandal-mongering group of people is an additional spring of such thought. So is every family where disorder, sour looks, cross words, and peevishness or petulance reign. Good society, as well as that called inferior in the social scale, can contribute to this inferior thought current. The purest spirit cannot live in this thought current without being unfavorably affected by it. It requires continual outlay of force to resist it. You become mixed and entangled in it, blinded by its obscurity, weighed down by the burden it brings. You may have noticed how much of inordinate desire you are freed from on getting in the open country far beyond the city limits. Mountains are more free from this thought. It is an element which conforms to the law of gravitation. Low thought runs to the lowest places, as does anything heavy, crude, and coarse. Trade, commerce, and manufacture unfortunately demand cities to be built on low levels, either at the seaside or riverbank. In the coming higher civilizations, the making of the most perfect men and women, and the discovery and making of real and permanent pleasures will be the chief pursuit. Cities will then be built on hills or mountains so that all the cruder emanations, seen and unseen, shall readily drain away. With so much of this injurious unseen element about you, you may see an additional necessity for forming groups of people who are naturally aspiring and more pure, who shall frequently come together and by conversation and silent communion generate a current of purer thought. The more of this they make through such cooperation, the more power is given each individual of the group to keep himself, whether in the body by day or out of it at night, from being unfavorably affected and perhaps overwhelmed by these prevailing destructive tides. You are then forming a chain of connection with the higher, purer, and more powerful region of thought. The more you earnestly seek to form such connection, the stronger will be the chain. You do not realize the strength of these powers of darkness all about you, or the odds against you in trying to stem this dark tide alone. The thought brought to and made by a very few persons who so meet in concert and who are so alive to its benefits as to love to meet is of a value you cannot overestimate. It is the more powerful thought. It is in part the thought, and with the thought, the force of wise, powerful, and beneficent spirits who will be attracted to your group and who come with every desire to aid you. It will clear your brain, make stronger your body, drive out disease, and give you new ideas and plans for every kind of legitimate business. You do not now realize how much you are kept from success and on a lower level of life through unconsciously absorbing and being swayed or partly blinded or confused by the low thought current about you. You accept conditions in life as a necessity, which, were your intellects keener and sharper, you could avoid. You may absorb timidity from others. You may so absorb inertia and lack of energy. Your periods of lack of confidence and indecision may be results of absorption of this lower element. You may not know how blind you are and what a different man or woman you might be. Did you see more clearly what could injure and what could benefit you? Your generation of the more powerful thought through meeting in a concert of pure motive, inquiry for truth, and desire to benefit others as well as yourselves would clear your intellect, increase your energy, lead you away from errors and stumbling blocks, improve your health, and build you up into a force which would bring to you every material good thing. It is the way for seeking first the kingdom of God, when all these things shall be added unto you. They are added because the force you create in yourselves through these meetings as a family and fraternity will be as an actual strong magnet, attracting all things which your wisdom says will benefit you. The New World, rediscovered by Columbus, is a small affair as compared with the one lying at our very doors, and into which we unconsciously enter every night. We look with the eye of the body across our rooms, our streets, our fields, saying there is nothing between us and the walls, the house, the forest, or the mountain, but empty air, when that space may be crowded with structures, with people, with the unseen copies of all we see about us. The visions produced by the use of opium and hashish are realities. They allow of a more complete escape of the spirit from the body. The spirit receives an artificial strength through the elements taken from the poppy or hemp. Aided by this, it can travel farther and is stimulated to go out of its habitual ruts when the body sleeps. It does go into higher and more sublimated regions and sees in them glories never realized on earth. But it is in this way forced into elements too fine for it, the spirit, to retain and bring back to the body. It cannot hold them, and so returns to the body with no strength. Hence the reaction and misery of the opium eater or smoker when the effect of the drug is off. You would soon be in a condition somewhat similar were the higher spirits to carry you, as they could, to their own country before you had spiritually grown up to it. The elements you would absorb there would be too fine for use in this stratum of life. Yet continued aspiration can make your spirit fit to receive of these elements and appropriate them on its return to earth. Your whole organization would be finer then than now. You would be an inhabitant of the two worlds, the physical one about you, and that grade or stratum of the spiritual where you naturally belonged. This is to be the life of the future on this planet. This is the New Jerusalem, let down to earth. More men and women in the world's history have awakened to this life and lived in it while using their bodies than is generally known. Paul speaks of being caught up to the third heaven and there seeing unutterable things. Swedenborg was in close relationship with this world. There have been many others during the ages, but they were discreet enough to keep their knowledge to themselves, knowing their story would not, in their time, be credited, and that to tell it would bring on themselves unpleasant results. The time for such secretiveness is now over. More minds, awakened and able, at least, to entertain these truths, are now on earth than ever before. These are re-embodied spirits who have entered on another earth life with a partial knowledge of these truths, and who will recognize them so soon as they are boldly put forth. The age for materiality to crush out spiritual truths has passed. The age wherein spiritual truth shall assert itself and rule materiality has, in reality, commenced. It matters not how small is the apparent nucleus or group of persons alive to these truths. A pinhole can reveal a vast landscape. The point of contact where the rope is made fast to the ship to pull her off the shoal is but a few inches wide, but that is all the space required to bring the force to bear on the vessel. And so, the relative few who now can receive these things will be the power to raise the many upward.